being able to see that light in all will brighten your perspective on everything. The image came to me of the logo then, that it would be a barren tree that had a light coming through it. I'm not saying that I want to worship all things. I just want to see the light that is in all things. I thought it would be helpful as we get started with the podcast to tell you a little bit about the title of this podcast, where it came from, what it means. Of course, the title is The Light in All. Over the past several years, this idea of seeing the light, and you can substitute whatever word you want into that. For some, it might be seeing God in all. For others, it might be seeing Buddha in all. For some, it might be seeing Christ in all. Those are words, and just one thing I'll share with you that's just I've become aware of. There's no magic about words. Words are simply signposts that point to what is real. So if I had a sign, which I do sometimes just for kids out front here during Halloween, that points to the moon and tells that sign is not the moon. That is just a sign that points to the moon. So I'm not here to try to debate terms and get all the words right. But the concept that I'm trying to express, that I've learned to experience, is that seeing the light in all, the term I often use is seeing the divine in all, is incredibly important in my faith walk, in my life. By saying that I want to experience and see the light in all things, I'm not saying that I want to worship all things. I just want to see the light that is in all things, has created all things, that is sustaining all things. So this concept of seeing the light in all things has huge ramifications in my own walk, but also in how I see others. Because that same light that is within me is in each of us and in all those things that are around us. And if we are blind to that light, it makes life pretty sterile. And what I've discovered is that being able to see that light in all will brighten your perspective on everything and everybody around you. And it will affect naturally your behavior in this magnificent world that we live in. Another hero in the faith that I have on part A of this introductory podcast, I shared that one of my heroes of the faith is Francis of Assisi. Another of my faith heroes is a guy that is not nearly as well known as Francis of Assisi, and his name is simply Brother Lawrence. For those of you who aren't familiar with him, I encourage you to look him up and read some about him. But in general, what is so interesting to me is Brother Lawrence is known for what he called practicing the presence of God. In other words, he became so faith-filled that his eyes saw the divine, the presence of God in all situations. He was a cook back in the 1500s, and he learned, and his walk with God was so close that he could see God in the pots and pans that he used on a day-to-day basis. His story is recorded in a little book. A friend wrote about him and also included letters that he exchanged with Brother Lawrence. And that book is so important to me that I've decided this year to just basically spend my year contemplating and meditating on the life of Brother Lawrence. So that's going to have a huge impact, I think, on at least my line of questioning to our guests and in sharing my life with you as we walk this journey. To give you a little glimpse as to how my life has changed because of this growing understanding of the importance of seeing the light in all, is the story of even how this logo that I have with the podcast came about. The logo is a painting of a tree, but behind that tree we see the sun, the light shining through. The literal story behind this painting is that it was inspired by seeing trees that are right along the Grand Canyon. These trees look very barren, yet they've lived there for centuries and continue to thrive in the area. But back to my story as to how this painting became the logo and what it represents. I was in a retreat a couple months ago, and in that retreat, the leader of the retreat was talking about Brother Lawrence and shared the story that when Brother Lawrence was 18 years old, before he had really had any, quote, religion in his life, he happened to be walking by a barren tree in the winter. And as he walked by, it caught his attention, and he gazed at that tree more intently. And the story is that as he gazed at that barren tree in the winter and contemplated what that tree was going to turn into in just a couple short months, blossoming with leaves. I don't know if that's the right terminology, but full of leaves. He said that he was overcome by the love of God to the point that for the next 60 years can't remember, I think he was in his 70s when he passed away. The next at least 50 years of his life, that love of God could not be increased from what he experienced, that overwhelming experience in viewing that tree. I knew when I was in that retreat that I was planning to do this podcast, feeling a calling to kind of share what was going on in my life. But the image came to me of the logo then that it would be a barren tree that had a light coming through it. And I knew at the instant that that thought came to me, or as some would say, that voice came to me, not auditory, but with conviction, this is what the logo will be. I decided right there on the spot that that was of the Lord, that was of the Spirit, and that that would be the logo. A barren tree with the light shining through. Well, I didn't know for sure, how do I come up with that then, if that's the case? I looked out the window where it was, and I actually took a photo. It was such a great thing. The sun happened to be shining through these bare trees at that time, and I took a photo. But I knew right away that from a practical perspective, that photo probably would not make for a good logo. So I sat on it. I waited to see what might happen. And a couple months went by, and I happened to be sitting with the pastor at the church that I attend now, a Quaker meeting, and was telling him of my idea regarding a logo, knowing that he was an artist himself, not a professional artist, but a very good artist, that he might be able to give some recommendations. And as I described what I was looking for, he kind of looked funny, and he pulled his phone out and he started flipping through some things. And he said, "Is this what you're looking for?" And he had on his phone this photograph of the painting that he had done, which is now our logo. He said that when he painted that about a year earlier and told the story of being inspired by being by the Grand Canyon and seeing these, that he went home and did this painting. And even as he was doing it, his wife asked, "Now, why are you doing this painting?" And he said, "I don't know, but I just want to do the painting." And then it sat for a year until that day, and we both knew this is the logo. Now I know, and I would be the same in my past, I would say that's coincidence, or maybe maybe I would go as far as to say God's taking care of me. But I would not fully seeing and understanding the light that is in all, I would have missed out on an incredible faith experience. Not something in my head, but something that's much deeper than that. An encouragement that the divine is right there with me. I just need to be patient and know that I am in that flow of the divine. That's what I mean by seeing the light in all. And I look forward to us sharing this journey as we see that light in all.